Ok, familia. Ya estamos en vivo. We are live and direct. This is Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ La Buga. Welcome New York. Welcome Los Angeles, Houston.
90, you know I love you, baby. So please, don't you leave me, girl. 90, baby, 90, darling. You know I want you, baby. So please, don't you leave me now. 90, 90, good night. Lord, 90, 90, good night. I am looking for a woman who have no man. 90, 90, good night. Lord, 90, 90, good night. I am looking for a woman who have no man.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, Miss Sulma Arzu Brown. ¿Qué motea? ¿Qué motea? Welcome tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Okay, familia, welcome tonight. Welcome. We have a very special guest tonight, all the way from New York, Miss Sulma Arzu Brown, writer, mother, professional. Stay tuned tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. We're about to deliver the show to you tonight. Pass the word.
ready for the world.
You can check us out on www.lmbroots.com. In Los Angeles through www.radiocentroamerica.com. And for all archived videos and interviews, go to YouTube, GAFU channel. GAHFU, GAFU channel. You will find all the interviews from 2013, 14, 15. This is your show, Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ La Buga. We're live and direct from the studios in Long Beach, California. ¿Qué motea? Ajá. Welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ La Buga. We are live from the studios in Long Beach through RadioCentroamerica.com and LMBRoots.com radio in New York. Every Wednesday from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We bring to you the best of recording artists, musicians, producers, and musical directors behind Garifuna Music. So welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ La Buga and enjoy my show tonight. Welcome Los Angeles, New York, Houston, Texas, Las Vegas, Nevada. ¿Qué motea? We are proud to announce the 5th annual Garifuna Indigenous International Film Festival 2016 from May 26th through the 30th. At the Electric Lodge Performing Arts. For more information, go to www.garifunafilmfestival.com. Documentaries, films, live cultural performances. Don't miss it. The 5th annual Garifuna Indigenous International Film Festival 2016.
Kanda la buga, wapar bako na diko. Wanu kanda la buga, wapar bako na diko. Wanu kanda la buga, wapar bako na diko. Wanu kanda la buga, wapar bako. People run, people ball, people jump on the floor, people jump in the water. Duy la buga, 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 duy.
Welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ La Buga. We are live from the studios in Long Beach through RadioCentroamerica.com and LMBRoots.com radio in New York. Every Wednesday from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We bring to you the best of recording artists, musicians, producers, and musical directors behind Garifuna Music. So welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ La Buga and enjoy my show tonight. Yes, all right. Okay, Nueva York, are you ready? Los Angeles, are you ready? This is your weekly radio show, Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ La Buga. Yes, thank you for that interview, and we welcome Radio Centroamerica, which just joined in right now at 7 p.m., 10 p.m., of course, New York time. We have on the line Michelle, who is the, I would say, the PR for Miss Zulma Brown, who is the writer, publisher of the book that we're going to talk about. And of course, I want to read a little bit of the biography from Miss Zulma Arzu Brown. She's a proud Garifuna woman born in Honduras, Central America. She came to New York at the tender age of 6. Throughout her lifetime, Sulma's parents instilled the belief that progressive thinking, education, and sound values were the key to success in one's personal and professional life. Holding steadfast to those values, Sulma received her Bachelor of Arts degree from Herbert Lehman College of the City University of New York. Sulma took those teachings a step further when she became a mother by becoming one of her essence of growing out her natural hair. It was her way of encouraging her girls to love every aspect of themselves, especially their hair. Sulma knew that it was the right decision when her older daughter expressed, "Mommy, we finally look alike," the day that she cut off her chemically straightened hair. The book soon followed. So we're going to talk about the book that she published, okay? So we're going to welcome tonight, through a conference call that we have, we're going to welcome Miss Sulma Brown along with her PR, Michelle. So welcome, Sulma. How are you tonight?
Hi.
How are you?
Hello.
Yes. We could hear you real nice and clear.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we could hear you nice and clear. You and Michelle. No problem.
Excellent. Okay, fantastic.
Mm-hmm. So I want you to introduce yourself real quick and your PR, please. I want you to introduce Michelle.
Oh. Sure, absolutely. My name is Sulma Arzu Brown. I am a proud Garifuna woman from Honduras, and I'm also the author of Bad Hair Does Not Exist, Pelo Malo No Existe. Here on the phone with me is my publicist, Michelle Sampson. She is pretty much, there's a saying in English that says, my ride or die girl, and that's what she is. She comes with me everywhere and makes sure that pretty much all the events are amazing and flawless.
That's what I do. Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hello. How are you, Michelle? You are the publicist of this wonderful woman who has been doing a lot of work in the community. So please introduce yourself, Michelle.
Hello. My name is Michelle Sampson, and I'm a publicist and PR, business affairs coordinator for talent. And Sulma is my precious and wonderful client who has been doing a lot of work. And, we're just excited about Bad Hair Does Not Exist and more to come.
Excellent. Welcome to our show. Our show is a weekly radio show that is aired from Long Beach, California, which is the largest port in the county of Los Angeles. We are here to deliver a message to the community, to introduce people such as Sulma, who have been doing a lot of work in the community that we don't know about. The people in New York might know what Sulma is doing, but we wanted to put Sulma out there so that people get to know the kind of work that she's been doing in the community, besides publishing a wonderful book, which we'll be talking about. So welcome to the show, Sulma, and let me give you my first opening question. How's that?
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having us, Ronnie. I just have to tell you really quickly how envious I am right now. It's super cold here in New York, and I love California, so I wish I was right there.
You know what? You are right. We have such a wonderful weather right here. I mean, today it was a rainy day, but other than that, it's just nice. I could walk out of my house with just a little sweater, and it's not that cold. So we're looking maybe around 50 degrees, maybe a little bit warmer, but it's nice. Yes.
Wow. Absolutely. Very sweet.
Yes. Okay, Sulma, so where were you born? Can you please tell the audience, because on your bio it only says that you were born in Honduras, but give us a little bit more details. So you being born in what town, please?
Yeah, I was actually born in San Pedro Sula. I tell you right now that I don't really have any recollection of living there because at the age of, I think I was under 2 years old, my parents decided to come to the United States of America for a better opportunity, and we were left in the care of my grandmother and on my mother's side, as well as my godmother and a couple of my mother's sisters out there in Honduras. And I consider myself raised in Santa Fe, so I think, I prefer to say soy de Santa Fe, or I am from Santa Fe, Colón.
Excellent, excellent. No, Santa Fe is actually a very historical place, a place where I would say was the beginning of Central America. It's one of the first cities to be founded by the Spaniards, and it is the land where the Garinagu landed after they landed in Roatan. After they landed in Roatan, they came and they touched firm land right there in the area of Trujillo. How is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually one of my favorite places on earth. I feel like whenever I go back home, I just want to take my shoes off and walk barefoot on the ground and just really let the essence of my hometown and the Garifuna people just, come through my soul. I just feel so connected. And it's actually an incredibly beautiful, beautiful hometown. Just great people, very tranquil. And I believe a couple of weeks ago it came out that although Honduras is in such turmoil, Santa Fe is one of the safest places that you can visit. I think in the past year it reported no crime. So that was also pretty exciting for me.
No, definitely. I agree with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your parents? Let's talk about prior to coming to the States. Let's talk about your parents back home.
My mom and dad are both from Santa Fe, Colón, but they didn't really know each other until they moved to San Pedro Sula and got to meet each other while they were both in college. My mom and dad were both perito mercantil. I believe that has to do with the banking and finance industry, and they were both college graduates in Honduras. And it's interesting because my mom is actually, they're both extremely intelligent. My mom also has some type of intuitive wisdom. I think she's gifted in some way, shape, or form beyond understanding. So she's a very astute woman, and she had been working at this bank for a number of years now, and there was a position that would pretty much a higher position, a level of management that she qualified for. She went to to the head of the bank and pretty much sat with him and let him know, listen, I know I qualify for this position and I would like to apply for it. And that particular person, who also happened to be somewhat of a mentor to her, was very candid. He said, Blanca, we know you qualify, but we cannot give you the position because you are black. And we just don't do that here. So she was pretty much overlooked for a position because of her skin color, because she represented a minority group, not just a woman, but as a Garifuna, and that's when she came home that day and let my dad know there is no way that we can continue to excel in this country, and if we want a better life for our children, we have to leave, So it was a really, really extremely difficult time, difficult decision. And even as a parent myself, I can't even imagine or thinking that, that I myself can make that type of decision. But I guess it was, different times. And, to make a long story short, my mom came to the United States first, was able to bring my dad, and they made, they made a decision together as friends, as couples, as parents, that they were not going to send for us until they they became college graduates here as well. So they came here, wasted no time, learned the language, graduated from LaGuardia Community College here, and, they've led very successful careers. They brought my brother and I came to this country. I know it was December, so I remember seeing snow for the first time. That's one of the things that I could never forget, and, all the lights just landing in New York. So I had just turned 6 at the time, and I ended up in the Bronx, New York, and right across the street from the building we lived, we realized that the Bronx was burning.
Wow. Amazing. Well, that is, yes.
The forward thinking, the vision, and the sacrifice.
Wow. Yes, very sad to hear that, because it is my understanding that Garinagu have been subjects of a lot of discrimination, not as settled as in the United States, but to a lot of degree, it's been very damaging for families, especially in the field of education. If you don't have the avenues to go to school and get an education, how do you expect Garinagu to have better jobs in Honduras? So I understand what you're saying. I want to ask you, Sulma, have you traveled to Honduras lately, and have you invited Michelle to come and visit your hometown?
Michelle actually just put that for both of us on the wish list.
Yes, I did.
Last time I went.
Wow.
To take my friends, as many people as possible, to Honduras, but I had the privileges of going once again about 2 years ago, and I took my children with me. I have 2 beautiful girls, an 11-year-old, Suleni Tisani, and a 5-year-old, Bea Victoria, who traveled with me. And one of my goals was definitely to make sure we, visited Garifuna communities that really haven't been touched by technology, or where you could still see the richness of the culture. And we visited Siriboya and even one of the first hospitals built in the Garifuna village by Dr. Luther Castillo over there. So it was really quite an experience to even get greeted by the children in the Garifuna language, and even seeing that mud houses were still in existence, and how people still treasure, and value the culture. So it was quite an experience. I will be doing my next trip there, if not next year, probably within the next 2 years again, to continue to tap into the culture, to make sure that my children continue to see, how the Garifuna people live, who they are, and, just really make sure that their history is within them, and that they understand that this is who they are. They're Garifunas.
Yes. Was your husband able to go with you?
My husband will be going with me.
Okay.
Be going with us and in our next trip. He's actually Jamaican from Toronto, but he eats machuca, tapo. He danced punta a couple of times already. So interesting how similar the cultures are. So, he fits right into my culture, and I fit right into his, and we share pretty much the same family values. Our motherland was obviously St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and that's all Caribbean based. So it's really nice to know that he embraces the fact that I am Garifuna. He knows his Garifuna history well. I would probably dare to say and venture to say that he probably knows it better than the Jamaican history. And it's just a really nice synergy between both cultures.
Excellent. Thank you for that piece of information. That is amazing to see how the two cultures are able to merge, because indeed there were some Garinagu who landed in Jamaica during the trip when they were exiled by the British, and those are the Maroons. And it is believed that the Maroons are part of the Garifuna contingent that got left in Jamaica. Sulma, this is Garifuna Music on Talk with DJ Labuga. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the studios in Long Beach. We are live in the Bronx through www.lmbroots.com radio. Also in Los Angeles through www.radiocentroamerica.com every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And in New York, you can listen to us from 10 p.m. until midnight. So it is every Wednesday, don't forget. Sulma, I want you to take a minute to please acknowledge and say hello to all of the beautiful audience we have online right now. We have a full house. We have a lot of people listening on Radio Centroamerica here in Los Angeles. There is a big Honduran community and even a bigger Garifuna community from Belize who are tuning in right now. And of course, lots of people who are listening in New York, in the Bronx, of course, in Staten Island, in Corona, California, in Houston, Texas, in Chicago, Illinois. So I want you to take a minute to acknowledge all of the beautiful listeners who are getting to know you through the airwaves. Please.
I want to thank all of you for just tuning in and being able to partake in this, historic moment in time and the positive use of knowledge to make sure that positive messages of great people within your community, and the things that they're doing all around the world. And again, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to, my story and hoping that something, resonates within you and more of us keep coming out and more of us continue to share our amazing stories and making sure that we're always proud of who we are and where we come from. So, un saludo para toda mi gente Centroamérica, my Belizean brothers and sisters. I love you so much, and I think I want to make sure that we always stay in tune, always stay in synergy, and that we always stay united. So thank you so much again, Ronnie, for having me here.
No problem.
It's such a privilege and such an honor.
Yeah, and we're not finished with the interview yet, so don't try to get away from this interview tonight. I wanted to ask Michelle to please take a minute to acknowledge the people she invited tonight to listen, whether they are listening on lmbroots.com radio or through Radio Centroamerica. Please, Michelle, the publicist, would you please take a minute to salute and say hello to the audience?
Hello, audience, and this is an amazing segment you have here. Ronnie, thank you for having Suma on and even allowing me to say thank you. And to the audience, thank you again from Bronx all the way to Long Beach. I wish you great more success in your community and things that you guys are doing. And keep it up, Ronnie. Keep doing what you're doing and keep reaching more listeners. And the Bronx, keep coming out to events and things that Suma is doing. And one day we'll be in Long Beach and we'll be seeing Ronnie and we'll be having events out there as well.
No, definitely. Thank you for that. And, we need to schedule maybe a date where you and Sulma could come to Los Angeles or Long Beach and we could do a book signing event and have people come and purchase the book and have Sulma sign or autograph the books. How's that?
Sounds good. I say we book it for the summer.
What was that?
We love it. We love it.
Yes. No, definitely. That would be a project, something we need to plan to do, because we got a lot of good things happening here at this radio station, at this show called Garifuna Music on Talk with DJ Labuga. We are in the midst of finishing the plans to bring the Garifuna classes online so we could actually reach out to more audience to learn the Garifuna language, to learn about Garifuna spirituality, to learn about Garifuna drumming and dance and the different genres of music that pertain to the Garifuna people. So that's coming up in the next 2 months. How's that?
That's fantastic, and it's so good. I love it when people really take the initiative to make sure that the culture continues to get, conserved and passed on through generations. It's such an important element, and as you know, the Garifuna history and culture has been passed down through, mainly oral communication, and this is just another proof of how we as a people make sure that it's our responsibility, to keep it going. So, I mean, I applaud you. Count on my support 100%. It's something that I didn't even really understood who I was until I learned about my Garifuna history. And that's how I realized my full potential, my full potential. So you have no idea how many people you're going to help in the process and how many more, victorious Garifuna people and progressive will be coming out the woodworks because now they understand who they are. So again, I want to commend you for all of that.
Thank you so much, Sulma. I understand, going back to the questions here, that you came here at the age of 6. Can you talk about a little bit about the transition from Honduras to New York? What a big difference, please.
What a big difference, right? It was. I don't know. I think I could probably recall one instance. We come from like a small hometown community where we were walking barefoot, and now we're all of a sudden in this like airplane coming here in the winter and seeing strange people for the first time in our lives, right? By strange people, I remember there was a cousin of mine, Edson, and I love telling this story. He was in the airport, and there was this Caucasian lady. I vaguely remember her, but all I know is that she was white with blue eyes, and she had a baby girl, and the little girl was like curly hair, blonde baby. And I remember my cousin Edson just standing in front of her and just staring, to the point where the lady felt super uncomfortable, right? And like moved her baby, moved her baby away. So, and it's just interesting, although it didn't happen like immediately when I moved, it was a couple of years after I had already moved. And I remember going to the lady and said, he's just a little boy. He's just never seen anybody that looked like her, and what you did was rude. So it was just that reality check that we were about, that we were in a whole different world, so that's one of the stories that I recall. Another thing is, I think that if you're a nice person, things aren't as bad. I mean, when I came here, I lived in the South Bronx, and the schools I was put in was predominantly, of course, Puerto Rican students. So because I spoke Spanish, I kind of fit in. I never witnessed the transition being very difficult. I was pretty much a star student, even though I didn't know the language. But there was the curriculum were in Spanish, even the teacher spoke Spanish. So it was, it was rather nice to have a television inside your house, to have like both parents there. I think we were just more enamored with the fact that we were finally together as a family more than anything.
Wow! This is amazing. Wow. Mm-hmm.
To some degree.
Yes. Wow, that is such a drastic change. I mean, coming from, like you said, from Honduras, and trying to adapt to society that is unknown to all of us, and try to fit in. And then the only thing that you found to be what is relevant was the language, and it was mostly with Puerto Rican, so they have a whole different culture. So wow, that means that you had to like learn to adapt to Puerto Rican ways and manners and culture and things that they did, right? because one way or another, you still want to hold on.
Hondurans, when they speak, we have a different, Spanish accent to that of, a Puerto Rican. Like, they use the word tú more often than they use the word boss. They never use the word boss. Hey, boss, And, a bus was no longer el bus. It was now wawa, right? Different, the different terms that they use for different things. And even now, today, let me tell you, as I grew up, I learned the Honduran accent, because besides Puerto Rican, I also learned the Dominican accent, but I really wanted to just come back to the Honduran accent. And still today, like when I'm amongst my, Puerto Rican friends or Dominican friends, it's very difficult for me to make the transition to the Honduran accent. But I try as much as possible. And right now, what I tell myself is, I've embraced all of these cultures throughout, my life. I'm pretty much tired of, bending backwards to try to assimilate. It's time that they accept me. And
there you go.
I'm an Afro-Latina. So, I take the time out to explain all that I am, and to stay true to me more than anything. And I think that I have been appreciated, more than ever, just acknowledging that. And I've also, gained a lot more respect from them because I don't change my stripe, not at all.
Wow, excellent. Now, can you talk about the schools that you attended while in New York? Let's start with high school all the way to college and to the degree that you earned.
Yeah, sure. I attended two high schools here. One was a Catholic school because, I had an older brother, Louis, and my parents had to make a decision as to which one of us will go to Catholic school, and they felt because I was the girl and I needed to be protected and confined, and they would put me in the Catholic school, and my brother went to this other high school called Stevenson High School, which was, I'm telling you, it was not the best school, in the South Bronx at the time, but that's when we realized that within these quote-unquote bad high schools, they had, I want to use this really harsh term called segregation, right, among students who were, who achieved higher academic standards. So even when my brother went to the school, he was still, he was segregated from the group that, were in that dedicated school. But to make a long story short, I went to Catholic school, which was Scanlon High School. But my parents noticed that my brother studied far more than me, very dedicated. But we came home with similar grades, which were 90 averages. But I didn't really have to study that much. So what my parents did was, no, if this boy is studying more than Sulma, then we have to move Sulma so that she go to Stevenson High School, and she could study as hard as her brother. Big mistake, because when I was in Catholic school, they were right. I had rules, regulations. I was confined. The day I went to public school, I realized that the doors were wide open for you to walk out of easily with no accountability. So I was one of those students that played hooky.
Wow.
And just walked out the school, and then I had to suffer the consequences, watching my 90 average just go down to 84 and 70s. And I remember just crying, like, what am I telling my parents? They're gonna kill me. Like, I can't go home with these grades, And that's when I realized that I better find some smart friends. Right. I better find some smart friends really quickly that can help me study. And I was able to bring my grade point average in high school back up. After that, I wanted to do something that would make my parents proud of me. So I remember my mom telling me this story about how she wanted to be a detective. That's something that she wanted to do. So I didn't know what path I was gonna follow when I went to college, but I knew that there was a school, John Jay College, that I could study criminal justice, and I'm like, I'm gonna make my mother proud and be that detective she always wanted to be. Lo and behold, I did not like it at all, so I started pretty much a self-evaluation of who I was, what kind of person. I sought a lot of advice from older people, and asked one of my godmothers, who I loved and trusted, a Puerto Rican woman. I said, what did you always think I was going to be? And she told me, she said, I always saw you as, public relations. I see you speaking to a great group of people. And she goes, have you ever tried public relations? And have you considered changing colleges, and finding a college that it's going to be more for media or public relations? And I started doing the research on that, and I found that Lehman College was a perfect school, for me. So I went because I changed majors. I ended up graduating from Lehman, which I met my husband in college. Pretty similar story to my parents meeting in college, right? But I was a mass comm major. I minored in Spanish, and right after I graduated college, I found myself moving to California literally the next day. I lived in Los Angeles, and I was able to do a lot of production assistant work. I worked on the Essence Awards. I worked on the Effie Awards, and eventually SP ended up hiring me to become their talent, coordinator for ESPN, which had me come back to New York. And that's pretty much, and the rest is a whole bunch of more ups and downs. Probably another show, but I'm...
Yes. Wow, that is amazing. Well, that's so interesting. That is a very, very wonderful story to tell. Very exciting life, and of course, the ups and downs are part of what we do, what we expect to do, and it's not easy. We just gotta keep on going, just like you say it in your book, like you say it in your writings,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Suma, my next question is, go ahead.
Yeah, it's so much ups and downs, and even career-wise, I ended up being able to pretty much tamper all, test or work within all aspects of media, including radio, television, PR. Like, I pretty much did everything. And I remember one day thinking, I said, what, there has to be more to life than this. And I really wanted to work within my community, give back to my community. So then, after, getting fired, making myself get fired from careers that I really, from jobs I really wasn't happy with, I said, what? I want to do nonprofit work. And that's when I ended up working, in the Bronx and trying to get formerly incarcerated men hired and into jobs, so that they can redo the story of their lives. And after that, I wanted something a little more, grassroots and something that's more me. And that's when I ended up being at the Garifuna Coalition. I started off as a board member, and then we got funding to hire one full-time staff member. Believe it or not, I was the only Garifuna woman to apply for the job, even though it was publicly posted, and it was a harsh reality because, so many people in our community were looking for jobs, and I think they were pretty much a little bit distrustful, and they couldn't believe that a Garifuna organization, was going to be able to hire them. And I ended up, getting at that point a very competitive salary, benefits included, and the organization thrived, So it was a great experience. It allowed me to work with the youth in our community to implement so many resources that, help them understand their history. And I was actually mentored by a man by the name of Jose Avila, who pretty much held my hand in terms of recognizing who I was, taught me more of my history and culture, And even though I went in there, still wet behind the ear, I came out a different woman, and a woman that knew who she was as a Garifuna, was able to pretty much bring a community that was once invisible and bring it to the pinnacle of recognition. It was quite an experience and one of my proudest moments.
Wow, that is inspiring. Again, thank you for sharing that with us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. We're live with the writer, with a powerful woman by the name of Sulma Arzu Brown. She is in New York. We are here in the city of beautiful Long Beach, California, through the airways of radiocentroamerica.com and www.lmbroots.com radio every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and from 10 p.m. to midnight in New York. We are live throughout the world, ladies and gentlemen. We have audience listening all the way in Honduras, Tegucigalpa. Bienvenidos Tegucigalpa y gracias por estar en sintonía. También tenemos gente en Guatemala, así de que gracias por estar en sintonía. And we have people listening in Belize. So I want to send a big shout out to all of the beautiful people in Dangriga who are tuning in tonight to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. So thank you again, Sulma, for sharing these important moments. Now, I want to follow up on that position that you held with the Garifuna Coalition. I think that is very important because the Garifuna Coalition is historically one of the oldest organizations, one of the few and the oldest organizations in New York, and it's been through its ups and downs, but I am glad that you were part of it, that you applied for that position and you were able to bring it up to the level that you brought it to. What has become of the Garifuna Coalition? Are you still part of it? Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. I'm still very much active with the Garifuna Coalition. Jose Avila and I, pretty much communicate even about. It went from about twice a week probably now to like every other day now. We work very closely with the, many of the elected officials here during Garifuna American Heritage Month. And, what we started with the Garifuna Coalition, in terms of making sure that our Garifuna American Heritage Month gets acknowledged through a resolution. And, the capital of Albany recognized here in the Bronx. We have about over 200,000 Garinas here in Nueva York, an estimated 100,000 in the Bronx, and we know that this month of celebration is very, very important to pretty much continue the history and to show the contributions that we've made here in New York. I remember working in the Garifuna Coalition. I learned that the first Black play in the Americas was called The Drama of King Chataway, and that was by Henry Brown in 1823, and it was, premiered here in Broadway. And, that's not taught in history books. And to know that the first Black play in the Americas was the story of the Garifuna insurrection in St. Vincent, written by a same, our dissension brother. So we play such an important part of this history, and I'm just happy to be a part of making sure that people still realize that we are here. We're making significant differences. We get to honor amazing, Garifunas here and what they're doing. So I think that it's important for our young kids to always see the role models and that, people are here doing great things that look like them and come from similar culture. So, the work with the Garifuna Coalition still continues, because when you put so much effort into bringing things to the surface, it's important that whatever you do and whatever you implement has legs to continue going, running, and has wings to fly as well. So, very, very, very proud work that's still going on now.
Right. Thank you for that. Now, let's get down to the meat of this show right here. You are an author. You wrote this book called Bad Hair Does Not Exist. Pelo Malo No Existe. Can we talk about your book and what inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that how you say with emphasis, you are an author, okay? October 2014, I had no idea I was an author, right? The book, actually, I call it an ordained body of work, okay? Me personally, Sulma Arzu Brown has had so many ideas and, of becoming, having a business, being a business owner. I've tried a couple, never worked. At all until one day I went to pick up my younger daughter from her daycare provider, and the daycare provider took me a very long time to find her. I love her till this day. She came to me and said, Sulma, tienes que alisar el pelo de esa niña porque ese es pelo malo, right? And which means, Sulma, you have to relax or chemically straighten Bella's hair because that's bad hair, And I looked at her and it took everything within me. I had two choices. One, reply like I think any mother would and go totally crazy. And then I saw the faces of all the little kids, including my daughter's face, or respond from a place of love. And at that point, I decided to just become indignant and respond from a place of love and be that hero to my child that I know she needed and be that support system. So I told the caregiver, with all due respect, there's long hair, there's short hair, there's curly hair, there's straight hair. Bad hair does not exist. And I remember just giving her all kinds of terminologies, and at the end of it all, I said, what we need to do, with all due respect again, is that we use proper terminology because there's no such thing as bad hair. In other words, bad hair does not exist and all hair is good, and I came, I wrote the book in 5 minutes because it was a response out of love that I gave the caregiver. And I remember telling her, I said, what I want to do, if it's okay with you, is find a book that I can come and read to the children and we can together work on making sure we build their self-esteem instead of bringing their self-esteem down. And she said, sure, no problem. I couldn't find the book. At that point, again, I didn't even know I was the one that was supposed to write it, but I did. I felt like I was in that movie. If anyone's ever seen The Matrix, that my hands were just going really fast. The book was written in Spanish first, and then it was eventually translated to English. And I called one of my best friends, Isidra Sabio, who's also a Garifuna from Honduras. She does illustration for kids. I read her the book, and she basically said, Sulma, I want to do all the illustrations for the book. It took us from June to October to complete the illustrations, and we had a book launching in October of 2014. The launch of the book was also advertised through the channels of the Bronx Borough President, and I had a really good friend of mine who works at the Botanical Gardens call me up and said, Sulma, I didn't know you were an author. And I looked at her, I'm like, what do you mean? And, I see you're having a book launching, and it came to reality that, oh my God, I am an author, so that's why, when you said, Sulma, you're an author, it just took me back that moment of the realization that, yes, I am an author. And I love the fact that God gave me, this book, and it's all a testament to the fact that when you respond from a place of love, a lot of great things happened. And ever since the book came out, right on time, with all these things that are happening in the media, at this point, with more multicultural children coming with this whole, Afro generation, and the fact that, the book is about solidarity, amongst women, amongst cultures, and respect for everybody's individualism. Although the message and the writing and the illustration seem pretty, quote unquote, elementary or kiddish, it's a very strong message relevant this day and age. And, and I think that it's an evergreen message. And I'm happy to be the one chosen as an instrument to send this message forward. And it's a global message. It's a very important one.
Wow, you let me tell you something, Sulma. You are a very hardworking woman. Not only are you hardworking, but also a very smart woman. You left out a lot of little details, so allow me to please pick and choose certain things I want to ask you because there's a lot of aspiring writers out there who are listening tonight who would like to maybe one day publish a book. Tell us real quick. Give us as many details as you can, but make it short so that we are able to grasp the idea on how to go about publishing a book.
Yeah, this book was actually self-published because you see that I had already published, Garifuna for Children book. She actually had her own publishing agency called Afro Latin Publishing. So, number one, surround yourself by people who are doing great things and that could also serve as resources. I was fortunate enough to have, that person as a friend. After that, we sold the book through Amazon, through Create Space, which is a pay per order type publishing agency. You still reserve a lot of your own rights, but if whoever wants to be an inspiring author, write the book, finish the book, go to Create Space and see how you can publish the book. Another thing, it was definitely time to market this, so I utilized the resources around me, and then I remembered, hey, Michelle does PR, let me see if she can help me. I read her the book, and I think I called her at like 2 in the morning, and Michelle immediately said, you have to do this. I'm with you, so she's been helping me promote the book and, pretty much create more visibility for the book through events. And after that, we had a successful event at Barnes & Noble in July. And again, God, divine intervention. I feel like it's so important to believe in God. And he put this person who was actually a publishing agent happened to be there at Barnes & Noble at that time. And when you have a PR person as super kind and cordial as Michelle, she went up to them, invited them to come to the, to my book reading, got the phone number, the connection. About a week later, we had a one-on-one meeting, and now I have a publishing agent. I believe I'm the first Garifuna to have a publishing agent, and I am under Strong Lit Literary Agency, which is the agency responsible for pretty much the Bill Clinton books and Kennedy books. So I am their first multicultural group. Book targeted to kids. They were very, very excited. And now that, I'm also now working on an app for the phone, an app for the book to make it more interactive for children. And I partnered with Majora Carter of Hometown Security and Startup Box and Mass Ideation, who creates games, Startup Box, who tests games before they go into, market. And the beauty is the whole thing about all of this, because I'm working with businesses within my community. Verizon, the corporate company, funded us, so they're pretty much paying for us to develop the app that utilizes the businesses in our community to teach self-esteem and self-awareness, to children in our community. So a lot has happened in about a year. And as Michelle can probably tell you herself through her experience, this is like really weird that a brand new author would have so much success. So again, divine intervention has everything to do with God.
Yes. No, well, congratulations on that, because as I was reading your bio, I was able to entertain the thought of, man, this woman right here has been doing interviews on TV, radio shows in New York, Telemundo, Channel 47, Primera Edición, right? Anthony Bourdain, CNN. And tell us about that. What else have you done in the media to promote your book or to promote yourself as an author?
Yeah, pretty much. I have, I work with the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which is an organization that has a whole lot of businesses under their umbrella. And, just working with them has given me access to so many resources, meet so many, people, and building relationships. So a lot of this has come through building relationships. That old saying is who you know. It is literally who you know. And that's how I continue to get like all this media exposure, is people recommending me from one person to another person. I have a friend that you should talk to and another friend that you should talk to. And that's how I've been able to have pretty much, some type of media coverage every single month since October of 2014, with the exception, I believe, of October of 2015, which is when Verizon gave us the grant to create the app for the book.
Wow, that is great story, very inspiring. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're live and direct from the studios in Long Beach. This is your weekly radio show, Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga, and we have a very special guest tonight. We have the author, the writer, Miss Sulma V. Arsu Brown, all the way from New York. A very inspiring, a very powerful woman. Somebody who I look up to. Definitely, you have to get the book. You have to get to know this wonderful woman. She has a website. So I'm going to ask you the next question to please give us all your contacts, information on how to get the book, how to go to your website, and phone numbers, whatever you want to share with the audience, please, Sulma.
Sure, absolutely. You can get the book at my website, badhairdoesnotexist.com. B-A-D, bad hair, H-A-I-R, does not exist. That's a long spelling, but even if you Google Sulma Arzu Brown, it will definitely take you to the site. And I hope that I get the support of the community with this book. I think it's an important message, that all little girls of all ages, can take with them to make sure that we know that anywhere we go, our hair comes with us, and that we should have respect for each one another as, sister to sister, and mana and mana. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a really great story, and I hope that you, support these efforts. The book is less than $10 on Amazon.com, so I hope that you're able to get it. It's really fun. If you come from, if you think, well, I don't have any little girls, well, you know what, maybe you have girls or within your family or a school that you may want to donate the book to, because a lot of schools need this as well. So, you'll find somebody to definitely get to. So I hope that you're able to support me in this. It's such an important message. Again, badhairdoesnotexist.com.
Yes, thank you for that. I have published on my Facebook page. As we speak, we have a lot of interaction right now on social media. People are asking questions. People are liking the comments. They are liking the pictures that I'm uploading of you, Sulma. So Sulma is S-U-L-M-A, Arzu, A-R-Z-U, Brown. And the website again is www.badhairdoesnotexist.com. And you could go ahead and check it out. It is a wonderful website with all the information you need to know about the writer, the author, about where to get the book, and, very nice website that you could go and share with family and friends. There is also a Garifuna movie, actually it's called the Garifuna Film Festival, happening in the month of May. You might be one of the people that Miss Frida Sidorov might be thinking of inviting to come over in the month of May during the long weekend. I think it's, I forget what holiday we have in May, but it's, hopefully she will be getting in touch with you, Sulma. I think it's a very good opportunity for you to come to Los Angeles and promote your book and be part of the Garifuna Film Festival as well. How's that?
Absolutely. I love doing things in the name of progress, and I'm definitely one of those people who I love giving back to my community, whether it be through my own experiences, through storytelling, or supporting events such as this. So it'll be, great. I mean, I love the fact that, my own community accepts who I am, is proud of who I am, continues to support me. So, why not make sure I keep doing the right thing so that, I can continue to support them as well. And that'll never end anyway.
Yes, great. Well, I know Miss Frida Sidorov is listening. She's also a Garifuna from Punta Gorda, Toledo district in Belize. She's tuning in right now to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga, and she's always supporting our radio show. And of course, we support the Garifuna Film Festival, which is one of the biggest events here in Los Angeles in the West Coast, and it's happening during the weekend of the big holiday right here in the month of May. I think it's at the end of May, ladies and gentlemen. Check out the website, GarifunaFilmFestival.com. And, of course, you could get the dates and everything. So that would be an opportunity for us to bring Miss Sulma Arzu Brown to Los Angeles. My next two questions, we're almost at the end of the interview, Sulma. I appreciate your time and your patience. What is your next step? What is your ultimate goal? I know you have ventured with this book. What is coming next? What is next for us?
I think that what is next is definitely a book tour. I will start my book tour at the end of March, and hopefully I can include, California, Long Beach during the film festival. But it's definitely going to continue to promote this message of solidarity, through hair, and hoping to get this, this book to go global. I am looking for endorsement, and actually I am, in conversations with hair products to see who will be the one taking on the partnership with me as well. So, a lot of things to come. And my second book actually will be coming out in February of 2016. I have probably 6 books written in total. So I finally got the illustrations for this next book, which is called My Best Friend Likes Boys More Than Me. And it is about a friend, 2 friends, Aisha and Helen. They're both in middle school. And Helen actually got bit by the boy crazy bug, and her grades in school started dropping. So it speaks about how Aisha helps her friend get her priorities on her education. Michelle Obama pretty much said if she focused on boys, during the key moments and key educational moments of her life, she would never have been married to the President of the United States, which is so true. So this is pretty much a way to talk to, your children about boys, and prioritizing education is fun. And the illustrations were actually done by an amazing woman called Ketty Bunch. And Ketty lives in Toulouse, France. We've never met. We've only spoken via Skype. But, I know for a fact that when I saw her illustrations, I wanted her to illustrate. This is a perfect project for her. And the book is actually a tribute to my cousin Helen, who passed away in the World Trade Center in 9/11, and a tribute to my best friend Aisha Harris, who worked with Helen at the World Trade Center. She also passed away during 9/11, so it also gives me an opportunity to just pay tribute to the girls in my life who kept me sane, because the reality was the boy crazy one was me.
Wow.
But I just had to pick one of the characters to play me in the book.
Right. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Very touching, definitely. No, and the magic of the technology, from Toulouse, France, all the way to the Bronx, all the way to New York, for you to collaborate, that's amazing. We have also got a message from Miss Frida Sidorov. She says, you are invited as a speaker already, Sulma. So the Garifuna Film Festival International will be May 26, May 27, 28, 29, and the 30th. So it's going to be for 5 days. Wow, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So it's 5 days of a great festival. So we hope to have you here. And my last question, Sulma, would be, what would you like to leave as a final message to our beautiful audience before we let you go?
Yeah, I think that my final message, and there's so many, but I chose this one specifically for my Garifuna community, and is to, whenever you have that in your heart, you know, and an idea or something progressive or some contribution that you want to give, you know, to the world, work on it every single day. I don't remember a day in the last 365 days, including weekends, that I have not worked on my book on how to try to take it to the next level, whether it be a phone call, whether it be a 5-minute idea that I write down, whether it be a quiet time. You know, every single day I work a little bit more, and I think that God blesses that, you know, and also keep the heart of a giving spirit. Always know that if you create something great and it becomes progressive, what are you going to contribute? What are you going to give back? And I think that, you know, that's what keeps me going, you know, making sure I work on it every day and making sure I do it with the spirit of giving to make sure that I'm always contributing, you know, something back and pretty much paying the blessing forward all the time.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I want to give the microphone to Michelle to please say something to the audience before we let you go, both of you, Michelle, who is the publisher, and of course, Miss Sulma Brown, who did a wonderful job talking about herself, coming from Honduras all the way from San Pedro and making it to the United States, and of course, becoming the person she is today, a very successful, very business-minded woman. And this is an inspiration for a lot of people out there who are listening tonight. So go ahead, Michelle.
I just want to say again, thank you, Ronnie, so much for having Suma as well as myself on this segment. It's been amazing. Like I will always say, definitely I agree with Suma with you have to pushing forward, and you definitely have to surround yourself with people who are like-minded. It is a key element. I am an entrepreneur of my own PR firm. Suma is an entrepreneur and an author, and these things don't just happen. These things are developed through all of your trials and tribulations and things that you go through. So to the audience out there, no matter what you are facing right now in your life or what you are experiencing, these are testaments to push you to that next level, and they help motivate and build you for who you are meant to be. And I definitely want to say, keep moving forward. You're an amazing culture. I look forward to being in LA for May with my client. We're going to push. We're going to do the film festival. I'm already excited, and I haven't even left yet. But I would say just it's been a great experience, and thank you again, and have a blessed night, everyone.
Thank you. Don't forget to go pick up that book. Go to Amazon right now.
Yes.
You know, Google Bad Hair Does Not Exist, and please support the book. That's yet another great testament to the contribution that's being made by one of your own, who knows that she is Garifuna, knows that she isn't, you know, from Central America, and couldn't be more prouder of it. So hopefully when Oprah comes knocking, you know the first thing I'm going to say is, I am a proud Garifuna woman. So thank you so much.
And please also go on the Bad Hair Does Not Exist Facebook fan page. Definitely post your comments on Amazon as well when you purchase the book, or even before. Please definitely sign up for the fan page on Facebook as well. We would love to hear from you. The more we build, the better we get.
Beautiful.
I told you she was great.
She is. Thank you so much for all that wonderful information. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying tuned in tonight to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. It's been a wonderful interview with a very inspiring woman, Miss Sulma V. Arsu Brown, and of course, her publisher, Michelle. Thank you so much. Butigunyo and good night. Ayo, New York. We'll see you soon. ¿Qué, Motia? Aha. Yes, ayo.
Proud to announce the 5th annual Garifuna Indigenous International Film Festival 2016 from May 26th through the 30th at the Electric Lodge Performing Arts. For more information, go to www.garifunafilmfestival.com. Documentaries, films, live cultural performances, don't miss it. The 5th Annual Garifuna Indigenous International Film Festival 2016.
When you can't la buga, what are the folk in the club? When you can't la buga, what are the folk in the club? When you can't la buga, what are the folk in the club? When you can't la buga, what are the folk people they run, people they ball, people they jump on the floor, people they jump in the water. Do it la buga, 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 sakata digidede, brr sa digidede, tagata digidede, brr sa digidede, sakata digidede, brr sa digidede, tagata digidede, brr sa digidede.
Bueno, este es Little Drew, a.k.a. DJ La Fuga esta noche y más música. Puta, con Little Drew, alongside.
Yes, Gui Pasi. Thank you, Miss Sulma Brown. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're live and direct from the studios in Long Beach. For questions, please give us a call at 323-898-6841. Again, if you have any questions in regards to the website, the book, call me at 323-898-6841. Así es de que saludos para la señorita Zulma Arzú, para Michelle también. Gracias por estar con nosotros. Tremenda entrevista esta noche. Welcome tonight. Hello, how are you? Hello, caller. Tonight, how are you? Frida, welcome tonight, Frida, to Garifuna Music and Talk. Man, we were just talking about you. We were mentioning you in regards to the upcoming Garifuna Indigenous International Film Festival. What was that? Go ahead, Frida.
Yeah, Buitiguño.
Buitiguño.
Are we having a bad connection?
No. We're good. We're good. We just hear a little bit of the rain out there, but we are good. No, I was saying that we want to welcome you tonight, and we are so proud of the work that you're doing, because you're putting together another year of the wonderful Garifuna International Film Festival, which is happening on May 26th through the 30th, 2016. So let's talk about it a little bit, Frida, please.
Yes, it would be my pleasure.
Go ahead. Tell us, what do we have in store for 2016?
Wow, we already have films and documentaries coming to us from different parts of the world. I was actually watching a documentary last night that was submitted to us by a Native American filmmaker. And we also have Michael Flores, who is a Garifuna filmmaker and an avid supporter of the film festival. Already saying that he's interested in once again joining us. This is all very exciting. Preservation of culture, focusing on the preservation of our culture, the Garifuna cultural language, music, art, you name it. The intention of keeping the Garifuna International Indigenous Film Festival elevated is very important.
Yes. Thank you so much. And what do you think about Miss Zulma Brown and Michelle? I think they really want to come and be part of the Garifuna International Film Festival 2016 between May 26th and May 30th. She's an amazing woman. What do you think about Zulma?
So I second your invitation to extend an invitation to them both to be able to be our a speaker at our 5th annual event.
Yes, excellent. I think so. Very powerful women.
Forward to it.
No, we definitely are looking forward to it, because I heard so much being said, and the story that Zulma shared with all of us was very inspiring, and it really gave me the energy to keep going, not only doing what we do here on a weekly basis with the radio show, but the work that we do with GAFU, with my wife Cheryl, and the things that are going on in the community. That is just so exciting. This year, 2016, so many things are happening. Now, tell us about the Garifuna Film Festival. Tell us where it's going to be, and what are some of the things that we expect to see during the festival, please?
Well, as I had said at the 5th annual International Film Festival, not only are we going to be screening films and documentaries, there's going to be the presentation of art from around the world, focusing on cultural preservation. There's going to be music, speakers. I am not going to mention our keynote speaker at this time, but we are going to be having our keynote speakers. It's always a pleasure to be able to have Gafu being our greatest supporter, and so we're very much looking forward to hosting the 5th annual event at the Electric Lodge in Venice, California.
Yeah, that's the venue that has been happening for the past 2-3 years. Wonderful venue. We love it. And it's such a nice area where you could just be yourself, come and enjoy the movies, the ambience, the food, and the acts and the speakers. And in this year, you are talking about art display, so it's going to be even more entertaining and more amazing, because not only do we get to see and watch wonderful films, but we will also get a chance to get to see Sulma and Michelle, who will be here promoting their book and the things that they do in the community in New York. That is wonderful times and wonderful moment we're gonna have during May 26th through the 30th, Frida. Congratulations to you and Dr. Sidorov for the wonderful work that you do with the Garifuna International Film Festival year after year.
Thank you very much, Ronnie, as well as thank you goes to Cheryl for the amazing work that you continue to do supporting our community here in Los Angeles and reaching out to all areas of the world.
Thank you so much and good night. You continue to enjoy the wonderful weather out there in the mountains where you live. And of course, continue to enjoy the rest of the show. Good night, Buituguño. We love you. And say hello to the doctor, please. Ayo.
Yo.
Ayo. Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. I want to apologize to Miss Sulma Brown for hanging up on her. But at the moment that I was talking to her behind the microphone, when the microphone was off, I received a phone call from Miss Frida Sidorov, Frida Paulino. And I want to apologize and say thank you so much, Sulma, for allowing this time to share with the audience the wonderful work that you're doing in the community. And I will give you a call tomorrow. I know it's kind of late, very late in New York right now, but we shall continue, ladies and gentlemen. This is the wonderful music that we play, music that inspires people, along with the wonderful people and personalities that we present here Wednesday after Wednesday on Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. Tonight, we did not have the opportunity to get the weekly report with Budari Palacios because something happened tonight. So we told her not to worry about it. She will be back next Wednesday again with the weekly report from New York. But you know what? I had a radio introduction already prepared for Budari. So let's listen to it, even though she's not going to be on tonight. Here we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now nos vamos hasta Nueva York a darle la bienvenida nada más y nada menos que a Budari Palacios de Budari Dance Company con el reporte semanal de lo que está sucediendo en Nueva York. Adelante, Budari Palacios. I hope you liked it. It was nice. Nice intro. ¿Qué motea? Nueva York, Mamaguama, Los Ángeles. Bienvenidos esta noche. Ajá. Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga, ladies and gentlemen, every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m.
mama ni kopule ani yara kusirugo kame bachili baby mama muna bana itu badina ye mafi mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule nubutu mama ni kopule asatelida mama ni kopule Dame na chili, na baby mafi mama muna bana badina ye mafi mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule nubutu mama ni kopule mama ni kopule ani yara kusirugo kame bachili baby mama muna bana badina ye mafi mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule nubutu mama ni kopule mama ni kopule subuzi bitu awa nubutu dai dame na chili baby mafi mama nubutu tina badina ye mafi mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule nubutu mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule mama ni kopule
Yes, nice mix. Yours truly, DJ Labuga in the house. ¿Qué mutia?
We are proud to announce the 5th annual Garifuna Indigenous International Film Festival 2016 from May 26th through the 30th at the Electric Lodge Performing Arts. For more information, go to www.garifunafilmfestival.com. Documentaries, films, live cultural performances. Don't miss it. The 5th annual Garifuna Indigenous International Film Festival 2016.
Bodoma in the house. ¿Qué mutia? Saludos para Bodoma.
Show con DJ La Fuga esta noche.
¿Dónde está la rosa? Arriba la mano la rosa. Vamos a ver, tenemos así. Arriba esa mano, vamos a ver.
Que Camaño comprendí. Le entregué todo mi amor.
Y ahora me abandonó.
Something, something, something.
El amor de una rosa que jamás yo comprendí. Desde que todo me motiva.
Agule, gule, baila. Uy, agule, gule, chiquita. Agule, gule, baila. Agule, gule, chiquita.
Ahí, baby.
Something, something, something.
Come on, dance. Bueno, hoy día me pasó de rival. Y mi amor es para ti, que solo para ella. Ahora mi amor ha muerto. Dímelo tú, baby, dímelo tú. Oye, si tú dio, a mí tú dio sangre. Ahí por causa.
Agule, gule, agule, gule, chiquita. Agule, gule, baila. Agule, gule, chiquita.
Ahí.
Something, something, something.
Y ahora, la mano, es el amor. Ahí de esa rosa, es el amor, mami. Ahí de vivir.
Agule, gule, baila. Agule, gule, chiquita. Agule, gule, baila. Agule, gule, chiquita.
Ahí, otra vez.
Something, something, something.
Come on, dance. Ahí. Uy. Ahí. Bueno, eso es para el público, Gulejando. Dice. Gule, va. Gule. Bueno. Baby King. Oye, Ibis. Raulito para el público, dice así. Ahí está. ¡Oye, Carabina, Catracho! Oye, la atención, mira, ahí de esa rosa me va a matar.
Agule, gule, baila. Agule, gule, chiquita. Agule, gule, baila. Agule, gule, chiquita.
Ahí.
Something, something, something.
Y ahora, la mano, es el amor, ahí de esa rosa, es el amor, mami, ahí de vivir.
Agule, gule, baila. Agule, gule, chiquita. Agule, gule, baila. Agule, gule, chiquita.
Ahí, otra vez. Agule.
Agule, gule, agule, gule, agule, gule.
aquí lo tenemos por el izquierdo.
Rápidamente, una rosa del público. Que venga la chica, que venga la chica a arrebatar con casabe.
Que venga la chica,
A bailar,
que venga la chica,
a gozar.
que venga la chica.
Ok, rápidamente la chica, una chica.
Que venga la chica.
Segundo llamado.
Oh,
Viene, viene. Venga usted, venga usted.
por allá tenemos el portón, mami. Down, dig it.
Ay, no,
Down, dig it.
arrebatar. A bailando para la chica, mamita. Baila, baila, baila. Goza, goza, goza. Gózalo así, con casabe. Ay, bailalo así. Ay, gózalo así. Ay, bailalo así, con casabe, mami. Ay, bailalo.
Dámele permiso ahí. Oye, mi Junior, decímele ahí en inglés, por favor.
Gózalo.
Oye, dámele permiso.
Gózalo.
Yeah. Tú.
Dos chicas. Solo dos.
Yeah. Thank you.
Tiene que hacerle. Baila la guitarra. Baila con el. Ahí.
Uy.
La chica. Solo tiene que hacerle así.
Ah.
Solo tiene que hacerle así. Ahí. Bien. Están en clase los nenes. Están en clase.
Ahí está la chica, Raulito.
Hola. Pollito.
Buenas
Dice.
tardes.
Ahí. Ah. Me gusta este paso. Ahí.
Uy. Ay.
Gracias.
Gracias, mami.
La siguiente chica. Ahora me la humo.
Espérate que estamos en el cielo acá.
¿Dónde están los matrachos como yo? Esta chica lo mueve. Ahí,
¡Súbete! Miren. Ahí está, bien. Ah. Thank you. Ah.
Ok, gracias niña.
Gracias. Ay, Valerio. Cuidado con Valerio.
Gracias.
Que venga la otra.
Dice. Gracias, niña. Gracias.
Bendita sea la punta.
Estéreo, láser.
Chiliayón, hermanos Arriola, Chiliayón, hermanos Arriola, oh, ay, vaya, papá mi, vaya, la gané, Argueta. Oh,
paisano. ¿Oíste? Señoras y señores, es para nosotros un placer estar aquí en Marcala, desde el Bajo Aguán, bailando el ritmo punta. Ella es Yesenia, y dice: y Argueta filmando. Son los hermanos Arriola. Ay,
Gafu presentó Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. Es un programa semanal de 7 de la noche a 9 de la noche todos los miércoles a través de www.radiocentroamerica.com en Los Ángeles y www.lmbroots.com radio en Nueva York. Tune in next Wednesday again for Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. We're live and direct through www.radiocentroamerica.com and lmbroots.com radio in New York. Wednesdays from 7 to 9 p.m.